A Jared Bowen screamer helps West Ham United gain an opening day point away from home at a tricky Andoni Iraola's Bournemouth side. My match reaction is coming next. And 10 minutes from time, Dom Solanke levelled things up to make it a draw. And if you'd have offered me that before kickoff, I would have snapped your hand off for it. And I did predict a 1-1 draw before the game, just saying. But yeah, overall, a decent result for the Hammers today. Yes, it could have been better, if we'd have held on. Criticism for Moyes has come already because of the way we played after we scored, which was of course to be expected under David Moyes. We sat back, invited pressure, and in the end, played the consequence of conceding a goal. And yeah, the goal was reasonably jammy from Dom Solanke. A pass sort of flicked off of Souček and managed to find its way to the feet of Dom Solanke. Sort of dribbled round Areola, who dived in, couldn't get there, and tapped it in to an open net. But let's talk about that Jared Bowen goal as well. Makes something out of nothing. So it's a very good start, and hopefully can give him the confidence at the start of the season that he needs. Jared Bowen needs to be the player that steps up this season and is the player that really sort of kicks us on and picks up moments and goals and assists out of nothing. And that's what he's done. It's a superb tackle from Pablo Fornals playing in the middle of the park to find its way to Souček, who then just passes it on to Jared Bowen, who on the edge of the box bends it and whips it with power into the top left-hand corner to open the scoring at the Vitality Stadium inside 52 minutes. You thought and we hoped that would give us confidence and to push on, but by the sounds of it, I didn't actually watch the game, but from what I've seen, it does seem like that we sat deeper and tried to protect that 1-goal lead, which against a side like Bournemouth, who are going to keep attacking, who are going to play some nice football this year, isn't going to work. And eventually we managed to crack and we conceded in the 81st minute. And to be fair, I was surprised and happily surprised that we didn't concede another one towards the end as well. Added time, he just thought it was meant to be, but we managed to hold on, which is a positive. And listen, if you'd have given me a point before the game, I'd have taken it. We've opened our account of the season, which took us 3 games last season, so that's a positive in itself. Yes, we could have won. Maybe we should have won. I'm not too sure, but we've got a point on the board, and that's all that matters now. We're not sat at the foot of the table after the opening weekend, and that's the that's the positive we got to take out of it. And by the sounds of it, Souček played well with the shackles off without Rice there, which again is an interesting topic of conversation in the next few days and weeks about Souček's form, and maybe it's just this one game, or will he improve without Declan Rice there? It seems like Paqueta gave it his all, which is all we asked for in this current situation. Seems like people were impressed with his performance as well, which is good. He hasn't just switched off and down tools, which is good to hear as well. And of course, Jared Bowen scoring the goal, and what a goal it was as well. Right, let's take some of your comments and see what you guys are saying. Terranushim, I hope you are well, sir. Tom, I hope you're keeping well as well. Graham says, what a typical Moyes display. Is going to be a long, cold winter with him in charge and not a jammy goal. Our defence just backed off. Yes, we did back off, but I mean, the way it went off Souček and just fell straight to Solanke, it did feel for me a little bit unfortunate from our sense, but that wouldn't have happened if we invited the pressure and backed off, which we I think will continue to do under Moyes. That's the infuriating reality of it. If we get a goal lead, Moyes is going to try and protect it and tell us to park the bus. That's what he's going to do, and I'm afraid we're all going to have to sort of wisen up to that, because that is what's going to happen. But look, we got a point. It's a positive, you know. If we'd lost 2-1, of course, there'd have been a lot more frustration. But yeah, of course, there is an element of frustration. 10 minutes from time, we had this game in the grasp of our hands, but we let it slip. Will it go down as 2 points dropped? Probably, in the situation we were in, deep in to the second half, it goes down as 2 points dropped. But in the opening game of the season, we're looking at our fixture list. I'm just glad we've got a point on the board to show for it. And for players, and especially Jared Bowen as well, let's hope that gives him the confidence to push on and really be the star player that we all want him to be, and we all need him to be this year. Of course, with Rice not there, he needs to be the player that steps up and is counted, and really, gives it his all in that sense. And let's hope it's the start of a positive season for him. Souček, let's hope he can continue with the shackles off in there as well. Fornal's playing in a role that he hasn't really played too much of, and which I think is his best role, in the centre of midfield, not wasted out on the wing. So that's good to have him, more involved, in my opinion, in that role. So that's a positive as well. Zuma as captain. Of course, we let the goal in. Defensive display, not fantastic, but it is what it is. We were probably just listening to the orders of David Moyes to sit back, which yes, is frustrating. But if we're not all prone to it, if we're not all used to it by now, then we'll never get used to it. So that's what we're going to get with Moyes. Sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't. Of course, we're frustrated by it to an extent, but it is what it is. A fair game, a fair reflection, is what Sue Smith called it on Soccer Saturday, from what I heard. So it is what it is. We now move on to Chelsea next weekend, at home, back at the London Stadium, hopefully with our 60,000 behind us. Let's hope we can muster something up against our London rivals. Thank you very much, everybody else, for joining me. Alan says definitely going to be a long season. Paqueta was good, and even Souček seemed, without Rice, to have a bit more freedom. Good to see Cornet is consistent. Offside first touch, exactly, every single time, isn't it? Every single time. Defence will be tested big time in the next few games, and I think it will buckle. No threat up top. Yeah, it's disappointing. It didn't look like Antonio was anywhere near the mark, which is not good, and which is worrying. Ings came on, and he did what he does. Really, he didn't score, but he does what Danny Ings does. Unfortunately, I'd like to see Mubama come on in that situation ahead of Danny Ings, but we know what Moyes is going to do. He's going to put Ings up front to have not much effect. But to be fair, he probably had more of an effect than Antonio, because not a great afternoon for him. It just looks a little bit lethargic. He's not quite ready for the season, and he's still in pre-season. So hopefully that can be swiftly sorted out ahead of next weekend, because we look non-existent up top of Antonio there. So that needs to be amended, or a change needs to be made. Mubama sat on the bench. Why didn't he come on earlier? Why didn't he have the impact on the game that I think he could have done? It's questions that we have been asking ourselves every week under the management of David Moyes, and unfortunately, that's the way that he's going to play football. That's the way we're going to go about things. As I said, sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't. We've got a point on the board. That's what I'm happy about. That's the positive I'm taking out of it. A few players giving some confidence, some good game time, and it's not the worst case scenario. Yeah, of course, we can have a moan about the way it ended, but it's not the worst case scenario. We could have gone down there, lost, been crap, and be down at the bottom of the table. We're not there. We're mid-table after the opening game of the season. We've got some positives to take out of it, which we didn't have this time last year. I know we played Man City on the opening day, but we've got more positives than we did this time last year. It took us 4 games to register a point last year. We've done it in 1 this year. We've got to take the positives out of it. We've got to move on, and we always seem to turn up at home to Chelsea. I think it was 1-1 last year. That Masuaku goal a couple of years ago. You never know. And sort of form and anything goes out the window when we play Chelsea, and we always seem to put a performance in. So a bit of confidence, a bit of hope now going into that game at home next weekend. Of course, it's not the ideal result we'd have all been wanting waking up this morning, but it's definitely not the worst case scenario. Disappointed, conceding relatively late on, but it is what it is. And it is all square down at the Vitality Stadium. Mid-table after one game. Exactly. I've got to take the positives. We are mid-table. I'd like to see Mubama start. I think Antonio is already away in his mind. Yeah, I feel that. And that does worry me as well because, yeah, don't get me wrong, Antonio was poor today, but Antonio is a pivotal part to the way we play football, to the way Moyes wants to play football. He's almost irreplaceable in the sense of the style that he plays, that, you know, Moyes wants to play, the target man up there. He does that job when he's playing well, really, really well. And we've got nobody else in this squad that can do that role. So it means there's going to have to be some adaptations if he does go to Wolves, as the links are suggesting, along with Aaron Cresswell, to Gary O'Neill's Wolves side. So if that does happen, Moyes is going to have to change things. Moyes is going to have to adapt, because I cannot watch Danny Ings up front on his own for 9 months. I just cannot do it. I absolutely cannot do it. So change as well will have to be made in that sense. And even in the short term next weekend as well, because that didn't work today quite clearly with Antonio up there, whether it was just fitness or his mind was elsewhere. We can't have that again next weekend. We need to be threatening the Chelsea centre-halves next weekend. So that's something for Moyes to brew on and to think about over the next few days, ready for our London derby. But Graham says we might only have 1 point after 4 games this season at this rate, but I hope not. True. Very true. So if we got Chelsea, is it then Brighton and then Luton, I think, something along those lines. So yeah, it's a good point, but we've given ourselves, you know, Chelsea. I've got a funny feeling we might pick up a point now, just one. But yeah, that's just my feeling. We will be bottom 3 after 5 games. Come on, Peter, let's have some positivity. Alan says, Graham, true, maybe nothing will change until after the first 10 games, and even then I'm worried that Sullivan doesn't. Well, we've got this sort of lengthy spell of difficult games, and then things will get easier mildly, slowly. So, you know, we've just got to take every game as it comes, and consistently continue to pick up points and continue to go along. Whatever's going to happen will happen in this transfer window. 3 weeks left now. Will Paqueta be here come next week? I haven't got a clue. You haven't got a clue. I don't think he's got a clue. So, yeah, I mean, it will be a different West Ham side next weekend. I'd expect Alvarez to be in there. Maybe James Ward-Prowse, Harry Maguire might be involved in there. So we might see a different outlook, a different West Ham side next weekend, which could provide different challenges, different threats to a Chelsea side. So me, you, everyone, we don't know what we're going to look like next weekend. So, and that's the fun of it now, is that I think it's a difficult game to predict. We don't know what Chelsea side's going to turn up. We'll see them tomorrow against Liverpool. But there is some positives there, and that's the main thing. Terry says, positives, there is life after Rice. Areola now first choice keeper. We have new players coming in. Negatives, Moyes, but it is. That's bang on. Yeah, 100% agree with you, mate. Areola, one person I hadn't touched on. Yeah, come in. And it was, he had to come in at some point. I'm surprised he hasn't kicked off about the lack of game time he's had in a West Ham shirt. And it now seems like it would suggest that he is going to be our starting keeper. Look, over the last year, he hasn't impressed me as much as he has done beforehand. I think in some games he's made some quite bad cock-ups that people have just sort of brushed under the carpet. Having said that, we're going to back him, of course. The goal wasn't his fault today. But should he have done better? Could he have done better? Possibly. He didn't drown himself in glory. But then again, I'm not blaming him for the goal. Just overall defensively, we were too lackluster and too deep, and not alert to what would happen. And yes, it was unfortunate the way the ball sort of ended up at the feet of Don Solanke, but that's what happens when we retreat, and that was going to happen. It was only a matter of time. If we were camped in our own half defended, they were going to have a bit of luck and they were going to score. That's the reality of it, and hopefully Moyes can fix up to that and adapt the way we sort of react to leading a game, because otherwise that could happen week in, week out. Yeah, Brighton slowly warming up today for us. They win 4-1 or something to Luton. It's going to be fun 2 weeks' time down there, isn't it? That is for sure. Jake, I love your positivity. Keep it up. Thank you very much. Well, it wasn't all bad today, was it? Let's be honest. It wasn't all bad. Tom says, I'm sure the players don't believe in Moyes' system. Yeah, but I do agree. Tom also says it goes against their instincts, which must be to win the ball, retain possession, and go for goal. I do think about this on a regular occasion where Moyes tells them after scoring a goal to camp in our own half and defend and protect that 1-goal lead. Whereas their instinct and sort of everything they've been taught is to get the ball and go forward, get the ball and attack, get the ball and create things, which is just the complete opposite. Excuse me, to what Moyes wants, which of course must be infuriating the players, but it is what it is. Nick on Claret and Blue, Claret and Blues will be happy with Moyes. Terry says, I hope Kane plays for Bayern tonight and they win. Spurs 20 years and 0 trophies. Signs for Bayern less than 24 hours later with a trophy. That would be brilliant, wouldn't it? Sean will be joining me tomorrow night to react to all of that and, of course, their game against Brentford and every other Premier League game over the weekend. Tomorrow night, join us for the Premier League Roundup show, back for another season to discuss all the talking points, all the new rules and all of the goals that have gone in over the course of this weekend, the opening weekend of Premier League action. But yeah, there we go. I will leave it there. Thank you very much indeed, everybody, for watching. To summarise, not the worst result in the world. A little bit frustrated that we couldn't get over the line and get all 3 points, but a point is not the worst thing in the world. It's not an absolute nightmare. From me, come on, you irons, and we'll see you soon right here on West Ham Unofficial. Thank you very much. See you later. Bye-bye.